Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
George, I did it!
You sure did.
We watched Rocky 2 tonight.
And you know what? I love you.
Aw.
I love
I
you.
love you.
I love you more.
I love you.
It's a lot of love.
I love you.
It's a lot of love.
Just a warning, guys. I took a shot every time Adrian said I love you.
Oh, no.
So I'm pretty drunk right
You're
now.
Probably pretty drunk.
You're very well vaccinated.
Yeah. Also, every freeze frame. Freeze frame, take a shot.
What about Smash Zoom?
Smash Zoom, would be in the hospital.
Wait, what was the freeze frames?
Oh, you didn't notice? Like, it was like Mary Tyler Moore show every 10 minutes? Freeze frame.
Well, that's
It's
your
the 80s.
That's your director trying shit.
Right.
First time director, I think.
Oh, yeah?
I think so.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, George.
Hmm.
We haven't done a Hey, George in a while. Hey, George. Did you
Dan.
catch who the director of this movie was?
Nope.
The director of Rocky 2, the movie you just watched, half an hour ago.
Yeah.
Well, it was written by Sylvester Stallone. You've heard of that guy, I think?
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote, the last movie.
Yeah, the first one, right?
Well, he also wrote this one.
Okay.
Now, the director of this movie is someone you've probably heard of.
Okay.
His name is Sylvester Stallone.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of brazen to direct the movie that he wrote when he was still just like a one-hit wonder at this point.
I mean,
Is this around the Rambo time? First Blood?
This was
Can't
79. First Blood's not till like 80 or 81.
81. Okay. So Rocky 3 was
82,
around
excuse me. So yeah, Rocky 3 and First Blood come out the same year.
Right.
actually, it's pretty good. He did a good job.
I don't know if it's his first time directing, but I think it is. He won an Oscar for writing the first one, so I think he just kind of wanted to
As he should have.
take full creative license in this one. And he did write and direct 3 and 4 as well.
Really?
This was his second movie after Paradise Alley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nobody saw that.
So,
I mean, all things considered, I mean, it's a pretty good movie for a first-time director.
well, and that's the thing. We needed to
Like-
front load your expectations with this, but we didn't want to tell you before the movie. Now, granted, the
Gotcha,
movie would have told
gotcha.
you pretty early on, with its credits. But we know you
Right.
don't read the credits, and so
I didn't read them.
thought we should probably point that out.
Well, the
What was-
credits were very chock full of local information. So
Were they?
he might have been doing what I was doing, just kind of watching, because it was the drive from the arena to the hospital. So they're driving over 95. They're driving past the shipyard. They're driving past all these Philly locations.
Mm-hmm. And I was just looking. Yeah,
He's on Broad Street.
Yep.
You can see Independence, or you can see City Hall.
Mhm.
There's a lot of
And then
traffic on Broad Street.
Yeah, and then I was getting excited because they were going to Pennsylvania Hospital, which is where my 4 children were born.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Oh, they're there." I was.
It's a good ass hospital.
It is a good ass
It
hospital.
might be like the best ass hospital in the country.
Great
Started by
proctology
David.
unit. Is that what I'm getting from this?
Mm-hmm.
I know they have a good delivery unit. I don't know about proctology. I haven't been there for that. A lot of assholes in Philly, though. So just saying.
It's true.
But
That's
yeah,
true.
I've been to that emergency entrance with my wife.
So, initial
Ooh.
impressions, George, with that little bit of information about the
Mhm.
director of the movie. How do you feel coming out of Rocky 2 versus how you came out of Rocky?
Not the same.
Like, not the same, more triumphant? Or not the same, like, eh?
Not as triumphant.
What, but he won this time.
Yeah, I know, but it's I don't know. No, I like the first one.
There you go.
I
I
We're
like
gonna
the
have
one where I
to
lost.
peel the onion on this one a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this movie has a different theme than the first one. Like, the first one is go the distance, do your best,
Mhm.
and, even though you lost, you won, right? This
Mhm.
is more about, and this is being 46, this kind of hits hard. I watched it last night in a different light than I ever have. Like, I used to watch it nostalgically and be like, oh, fast forward through a bunch of the crap, the I love
Mhm.
yous and all that stuff. and get to.
I love you, Rocky.
But they had to establish, again, same thing with the first movie where you're like, it's really awkward. They wanted to establish how solid they become and what's at stake. Because in the end, it's a story about midlife crisis. It's a story about a guy who has no self-worth, has no purpose. Like, it's all those things that when you hit your 30s and 40s and 50s, you constantly doubt yourself. You doubt where you're at. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm never going to attain where I want to be. I'm always going to be living paycheck to paycheck. Like, all those things that he went through in this movie hits pretty hard when I watch it, because not only does Adrian remind me a lot of my wife, but the things that he goes through is pretty close to my life. Obviously not the fighting, but
Right.
the
or the brain
ups and
damage.
downs. Well, I have a little bit of that.
Well, okay.
I have an older brother, but just loss of job at right when your child is born. Like that happened to me.
Yep.
Your wife bring home money and you're a stay-at-home dad kind of thing. And he wasn't a stay-at-home dad, but he felt like he needed to earn, he needed to provide.
Yeah.
And she's just like, just let me do it. And that scene in that basement where she goes upstairs, that when he starts punching the bag.
Yeah, it's scenes like that that make me think he's a pretty good director.
Yeah, and
Like,
the Mick scene in the chapel, he has a lot of little moments in that scene too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's when you know an actor is directing the movie or the play, because you're getting not so much nuance, but you're getting performance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, there's a lot of hokiness. And like, I watched the first half hour about 3 days ago, and I texted Dan and I said, maybe we don't watch this. And then he's like, nah,
Stay the course.
Yeah, he's like, stay. He's like, I'm curious to see the director, blah, blah, blah. But I watched that first half hour, and I'm like,
Oh, can I just say
the
the first 5 minutes of this movie is the most epic first 5 minutes of any movie.
It's
because
pretty
it's from the last movie.
right off the bat. It's good.
Are you talking about the fight or after the fight?
No. Yeah, it's the fight.
Yeah.
It's good. It's the first 5 minutes of this movie is the last 5 minutes of the first
movie,
one,
right.
which is which is epic.
Well,
then you get to the hospital.
The
and it's
hospital. Oh my god! I just have to say, I've never seen Rocky 2 before, but I kind of knew what was gonna. Because I mean, he has to win, right? Spoiler alert.
Yes,
he has to win because they wouldn't make the movie if he didn't. But Apollo Creed should be mentioned. It should be Rocky 2, the saga of Apollo Creed, because if he's not in this movie,
awesome.
I don't think this movie is successful. Dude's energy carries the movie for a lot of this movie.
If that character doesn't exist, you don't get 5 movies out of this.
Oh my gosh.
Because to me, he's the movie. That's why the Creed movies have done so well, because there's so much meat there to play around with his whole family, not just him. But that's why I said, like, it's a necessary sequel. It might not. They both stand alone. You don't need the second one, because the first one is perfect-ish. But the second one kind of, I think, tells a different story with the same characters. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Like, when I watch the Indiana Jones movies, I can watch all 3 of them together, or I can watch them individually. They're all pretty good movies by themselves, but it's a good adventure with the same characters throughout. They're different movies, different stories. Good things, bad things.
We might return to this theme soon.
What theme? Like the trilogies?
The standalone movies that also just happen to be related to each other as sequels.
Right. So I look at the Rocky movies that same way. I would never compare 2 to 1, and I would never compare 3 to 2. Like, to me, they're kind of like Jason movies. They have something in each of them that make them unique, and something in each of them that make them special to the watcher, whether it's nostalgia or, how it makes you feel or whatever. But the characters are consistent all the way through. So you can watch the story, and if you feel like watching 3, you watch 3. If you feel like watching 1, you watch 1. It depends on how you want to feel. Like, this movie, there's a lot of really great moments, kind of like when we were watching Porky's, and I said the movie has moments, but yeah, as a movie collectively, it's not.
Right.
But there are moments. With this, there's a lot of moments. Some of them are nostalgic. Some of them are well acted. Some of them are corny. Even some of the corny scenes, like the proposal in the zoo. Ugh.
Oh my God, he took her to the zoo, guys.
I know, dude. I wrote that down. Like, he took her to the zoo.
But it became epic, and it's one of those things where locals can go to the Philadelphia Zoo, stand outside the tiger cage, and yell, "I wouldn't mind if would you mind marrying me too much?" Like, they can kind of do, they can do that, and it becomes,
"You mind marrying me too much?"
He's a cartoon character. And I think the first half hour is purposely done that way to show you what a child would do with a lot of money.
Yeah, it did have a blank check feel.
Yeah, he's a child. He's not a fully developed man.
Yeah.
So it's almost like whenever you watch NFL players blow their entire load in a year, and you're like, dude, slow down.
Yeah.
Because you might be done in 2 years.
Yeah, smart ones don't do that.
Right. Well,
yeah.
He's not smart.
He's
all heart. He's not brain. He's all heart. And I think that's why he is endearing, and that's why he's frustrating. And, I know from coaching sports, you have kids growing up, some of them do not think. They do not have a brain in their body.
Yeah.
They're all heart. And that kid is going to be every play, 110%. Right next to you, waiting to go in. Like that kid might not be too smart because he'll run through a wall for you, but he's all heart. And I think that's what Rocky is. I mean, Adrian's the brains of that operation.
Okay. I felt like this was kind of like a choose your own adventure movie.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's the same movie, but if you want Rocky to win, you pick option number 2. And if you want Rocky to lose, you pick option number 1. Right? I don't think Rocky winning is good. I don't prefer it.
Right.
Like, at all.
No, I understand.
I do appreciate, though,
but they handle it. If you continue the saga, which we don't know on the show, but if you want the rest of the DVDs to watch them on your own time, and then if you
sure
have enough to say about them, maybe we can do a bonus episode or whatever.
Yeah.
But they cover what you're thinking about. They cover his rise and fall or whatever.
I felt like I liked the continuity in all the characters. The next logical step for him and Adrian would be to get married and have a child and all of that. And I didn't realize that Rocky was so young. They mentioned his age, and it was like 30 something. Might have even been 30. Looks a lot older than that. Thought he was a lot older than that.
Everybody looked older in the 70s.
I guess.
And now he looks younger in his 70s. So that's weird.
This is true.
But yeah, handling all of that, and I understand what it's like to be, to have like all this crap going on, and he's supposed to be training for this match, and like his head's not in it.
Right.
Totally understand. And it was acted well, and it was written well, but I just don't prefer this plot as much.
Right.
As the first one. I kind of felt like when Rocky was spending all of his money, I don't know, I felt insulted again. Why?
You
know what I mean? Like, they were laying it on pretty thick. It's like, I get it. He's spending all of his money. I get it. He's going to wear this stupid tiger jacket the whole movie. I get it. Like,
He got it at the zoo.
Yeah.
What's funny is you did the same thing with the other movie. Your hangup was the hat. It's like
it's not. No, that's not my hangup.
It's like a wardrobe
but like
thing.
he goes and he buys a car.
Godfather's good, but what's up with Brando's jaw?
No, but like the way it was, like, you can subtly do those things. You can subtly do them, like,
You watched Rocky 1, right?
Yeah.
What about Rocky Balboa is subtle?
Nothing.
But the way they handle the ending in Rocky Balboa in the original Rocky
is
so well
very
handled. Where is that execution with the other plot devices?
It's true.
But then it would be like a 45-minute movie because it would all just be like, oh, a hint. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Think about it, guys. Like, Rocky goes and buys a car, right? And Adrian's like, you don't really need a car. And he's like, hey, yeah, I do. I need a car. It's like, oh, okay. And then, like, Rocky goes and buys. He was literally driving his brand new car and, like, stops in the middle of the road. See these things in the window? Let's buy these things.
Right.
But, okay, yeah, and they buy those things. It's like, how many watches do we want to get? It's like, yo, how many times do we have to watch Rocky buy something to know he's throwing away all of his money?
Yeah, but I think
like I get it.
There's
it's
two
like,
ways.
It's an insult.
No, I
like,
know what you're saying, but
don't
be insulted because there's two ways to do it.
Okay.
There's one way to do it where you show the accumulation of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which has been done and will be done after this movie. You know, look at all my shit. But you don't get the Rocky from that. You don't get this childlike stupidity and almost innocence.
Yeah, I don't tell time too good, but I'll take one.
But that's why it's written that way. Like, yeah, it's you're being browbeated that he's going through his money, but they're showing you kind of character development in a way because they're showing you the whole time you're going, well, these two are perfect for each other. I hope they don't fuck it up. I hope they don't ruin it. I hope she doesn't mess it up or he doesn't mess it up. But in the end...
Oh, well, it's not going to be her.
Well, I mean, her telling him they can't be Rocky anymore. It could be her. Like, that's something that happens in a marriage when a woman tells her husband, yeah, everything I loved about you, everything that's about you, everything you're about, can't do it anymore.
Yeah, now that we're married, you can't be an Instagram model anymore, even though that's how you met me and that's where your income comes from.
Exactly.
Gotta
so
put
it's
your
like
clothes back on, honey.
They can't
I'm
build
your
that
only
character.
fan now.
Wow.
Yeah. So to me, it's necessary to watch him do that because they want to show you, yeah, he's blowing his money, but they also want to do some character development between them two. They want to they want to show you her even though she's a mousy wallflower, she is in control of him and per se. I mean, her judgment is valued by him. So they have to show her going against his decisions. And one of them is a house, and that's important because then there's a lot of, I know what you're saying. Yeah, they're saying, oh, the same thing over and over again, but they're same thing with doing the commercial. Like that that's a kind of unnecessary scene, but necessary. Because it shows you he's thinking, because he even says it when he buys the car, well, I'm doing commercials now. Then they want to show you how unequipped he is to do what he says, what he needs to do to keep himself afloat. So a lot of guys are like that. They're like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. Give me the checkbook. I'll do it.
I wonder if a more seasoned Stallone, if this was his 5th movie, I wonder if he would have chunked out about 5 minutes or more of the commercial bit and then consolidated the buying of stuff to be like, Rocky poorly drives a car you haven't seen before to a place and puts down a down payment on a house.
Right.
Just to consolidate a little bit. Because some of that is just, first-timer redundancy. Nobody has told you yet, oh, you don't have to browbeat us. We get it.
Right.
But, it also kind of reminded me of that part in RoboCop 2 where they unnecessarily show you all the failing RoboCop 2 programs, which George hasn't seen yet, but that's my favorite part of the movie, and it's completely unnecessary. It's just there for me, the fan, to laugh at. But
speaking of RoboCop,
well, I saw the first RoboCop, and I can tell you that a lot of what was in the first one was unnecessary.
Watch your mouth.
I get it.
Did you see the guy from RoboCop in this movie?
No.
When he signs the body cast of the guy, signs his head.
Yeah.
That's Toxic Waste guy.
Oh, yeah, Dr. What's-His-Butt from ER that loses the arm.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
For ER.
So when I saw him, I was like, oh, wow, friend of the show.
Hey, can you sign my head?
Hey, can you sign my head?
That was pretty funny. And also, like, really corny, but I was like, nah.
But to go back what you're saying about the browbeating, I think Adrian and Rocky.
It wasn't just that either. Like, I have other issues as well, but
I don't think those two characters were the two characters that were being fully meshed out in this movie. I think Creed and Mick were the two characters that were really being paid attention to.
They were the ones with the arc.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mick, because another one of my problems was Mick was totally predictable.
Okay.
It's the exact same, and I get it. Like, when you have a sequel, there's things that people liked about the first one that you want to relive the glory of.
Right.
In the second one as well. He's running through, Italian town. He's running
Italian
up
market,
he's running up the art museum steps. Only this time there's like a whole school bus worth of kids behind him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same but different.
The remix.
It has, it's the remix.
It's the trope, the montage trope that
right,
becomes,
exactly,
a staple to a Stallone.
But
movie.
Mick does he not have the exact same character arc? Like, the exact same.
I don't know.
How many times is Mick gonna give up on Rocky and then ungive up on Rocky?
I think it's mutual. I think they give up on each other a bunch of times. And it's for different reasons. Like, Mick gives up because, in the first one, he gives up because he doesn't think that Rocky's worthy of his time.
But that's the reason why he gave up
this
this
one
time.
is not. No, he thinks that Rocky is not focused.
He literally says, I don't have that much more time. I can't mess with losers like you.
Right, but it's not the same reason.
It kind of is.
This one, he's... No.
It kind of is. Only in the first one, he didn't have a super match coming up. And in this one, he does have a super match coming up.
No, because the first one is about his wasted potential. He's not doing his job.
And he quits again. Mick quits again because he feels he's wasting potential. Again.
Not potential, he's wasting Mick's time. It's two different things. It's the same character delivery.
And it's both, actually.
George, it's not a distortion. It's an overdrive.
Right.
Either way, it's clipping for our guitar.
It's clipping.
Okay, for the guitar fans.
Guitar
you know
terms.
what I mean.
Yeah. See, when the sound wave, like the up and down sine wave, when it gets deformed at the top or the bottom because you've amplified it too much,
right?
It clips that part of the
right.
wave off. And in an overdrive, it does that asymmetrically, generally. And in a distortion, it does it symmetrically and basically square.
Gotcha.
But they're both clipping. Both doing the same thing. What he's saying is there's very little difference.
I know what he's saying.
Okay, good.
Even if the method of getting there is slightly different,
right?
The outcome is the same. So the Rocky doll takes a beating. I thought that was pretty good. That might have been my favorite.
That was pretty funny.
Favorite part of the first half of the movie was just like, oh yeah, this doll, you can do anything to it. It takes a huge beating. And the look on his face is just like, all right.
I think that thing actually came out. I think you could buy the Rocky doll back in the 80s.
Oh, I hope it was like the Hulk Hogan plushie one that everybody had before. I was too young for that, but
it had a plastic face, I remember.
Oh.
You don't make you smell mainly.
But then the director, I mean, I get it, right? I think we all get it by the end of the director's run. But does that guy know that Rocky's job is to punch men in the head? Because he doesn't act like a guy who realizes who he's talking to. And I realize, there's some of that is I'm not afraid of you because you're whatever. I don't know. That director was a bit much for me. Calm down, director.
Yeah, he was a terrible
but
director.
I get it, right? I get what we're going for.
The commercials.
He gave you the feels that you were supposed to feel. You were supposed to feel like he was being irrational and an asshole.
I had a good...
well played.
For up until the final fight of this movie, if Apollo Creed wasn't on screen doing something awesome, I kept thinking the whole time, this is a great movie for somebody else. But the feelings it's giving me, the feelings it's succeeding at transmitting to me, just aren't feelings that I go for when I want to sit down and watch a movie. it was the awkwardness of the first one, but like ratcheted up. And then it was a lot of like, I mean, did I forget within a week's time? Was Rocky like super religious in the first one, or is that new?
That's new.
Because he's like super religious.
Oh, he's Italian.
Well, yeah, but he was Italian in the last one.
What does that mean?
so
is Don Corleone.
And he was super religious.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There was just some new stuff. Right. It was like the new stuff they added, the baby stuff. I mean, the baby was cute.
Baby was cute.
But here's the thing. As soon as she gets pregnant, I'm like, okay, either that baby's going to die, she's going to die, or they're going to use it as some kind of plot device for his growth. Like, there's no way that baby is going to be the outcome. The baby's just going to be the device to get me an outcome.
But isn't that why?
He didn't even look at his baby.
He said he wanted to wait for her.
Until his wife woke up.
But see, that comment
Who fed the baby?
Really,
Who bathed the baby?
The nurses. When you have your third child, you'll realize that you don't have to keep the baby in your room. They'll take care of that child the whole time you're there. if you don't want to see them, you don't have to see them. You just got to name them before you leave.
Yeah, I guess.
You really don't even have to name them before you leave.
Yeah. What Dan just said is funny because everything's a plot device. Every single thing in the script is a plot device.
Can you name your baby number 3? Or baby number 4?
Yeah, it's free country, man.
You can do what you want, yeah. I mean, somebody named their child Apple, so. But yeah, the baby is supposed to make you think, okay, something bad's gonna happen. But you don't think that, and you don't think that right when she gets pregnant.
Oh,
but
I do. The moment she gets pregnant, I'm like, oh, something bad.
But they did that they kind of did it on purpose, where they subtly showed you her having reactions.
See, but before that, I already knew.
Did they not?
This isn't going to end well.
You knew because you've seen 900 billion movies. Like
it's like when a random old person coughs in the first act, you're like, they're gonna die.
Well, yeah, but it's just like watching a slasher film, and it's like you're gonna go, "Oh, that's the killer."
All right, so
that's the killer.
That question
no,
for me. That question was for me. What was the question again?
What was the question?
the point? I don't know. You were like, for you, because you've seen 9 billion movies, but I haven't. What was I supposed to?
Well, he was saying that as soon as he sees a baby pregnancy, he knows that child is either going to die, grow up and kill everybody, or be really cute.
It's going to be a problem.
A prop. It's going to be a prop.
Yeah.
But they knew that from the beginning, because the moment she was announced pregnant, she started, even, like, I think the first time he showed her with a belly, she was grimacing in the kitchen a few times, holding her belly. So they were hinting towards her having a tough pregnancy the whole time. And then obviously when she's in the pet shop and she's picking heavy things up, you're going, oh, eventually she's gonna either miscarry or something. Like, they're doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
But
then
they flip it on you because
Dan didn't know that was coming because he's seen 9,000 movies.
That's not what I said.
Because I've only seen like 50.
And
I felt the same.
About?
I felt the same way.
You're supposed to feel that way.
Okay.
I don't know. Isn't that kind of toxic though? Like,
I don't know, but you're sitting there going, "This guy's really happy. He's getting married. Everybody's happy. Everything's great."
Yeah, and you're like,
something bad's gotta happen eventually.
Yeah, he's gonna get.
Yeah, I mean that's life. You think that no matter what. You see a friend who just got a promotion and bought a car and bought a house, and you're like, "That."
You know what it is?
Something's gonna happen to them.
You know what it is? It's what Eagles fans feel like.
Right.
You know, like as soon as they get into the playoffs, they're like, Carson Wentz is gonna get injured, and there it is. Throwback to.
So I guess it is like the biggest Philadelphia movie.
It's huge, man. This whole series screams Philadelphia.
Mm. But then when she gets in a coma, then you're sitting there the whole time going, "Well, she's
I'm going. Where's
die,
the
she's gonna wake up?"
Yeah.
Like, you're not, obviously everything that happens is a plot.
You know
device.
what I was thinking? Don't people in a coma like need some kind of assistance? They don't just lay there like they're sleeping.
Not always.
Do they? Don't they?
Because you're not always a vegetable.
I mean, don't they have to like have you on like some kind of monitors or something? Like, shouldn't even have like an IV or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Budget.
Yeah, they ran out of tube budget.
Tube budget.
They spent all the money on that ball he kept losing when he would bounce it on the street.
Or that tiger jacket. Probably that car. They probably spent most of their budget on that car.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they did with that car what they did with the guitar in the French movie. which I'm pretty sure was chalk it up to a production cost, and then somebody just keeps it at the end. Like, oh, hey, this movie, we can't spend any more money on the model because we've got to have the right guitar for that scene and then to come home with me.
I want to know, I was not aware there was a car dealership on Broad Street. No idea. Like you can see,
where they pull the car into the front.
He's filling out the paperwork right there. You can see City Hall right down the street. It's like, no, that's all restaurants and stores. I didn't know there was a car dealership.
No, see the car. The car dealership, that's just the office.
Oh,
and when you buy a car, they drive it up from a parking lot.
From Sansom.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
They drive it
from
up.
Locust.
They park it right in front of the store so that when you're done signing your papers real quick,
just take off.
You could just pop right in your new car.
Gotcha. Yeah, the lot is down in the back street.
That's how that works. Just kidding. That was sarcasm.
I've seen car lots on Sansom Street, so maybe that's what it is.
Is it possible that Stallone was a little self-indulgent with the Rocky character this time?
It is possible, and it's even probable.
Yeah, I don't know. There were parts in this where I was just like, eh. You know,
Wait,
we're gonna have
more self-indulgent than the first movie.
More than the first one. I think there's
the
some
whole time
more...
he talked about himself the entire movie.
Yeah, but
no, but that didn't make you feel good about him.
I don't know. This one, I just I hold distance between me and this movie for about the middle hour, where I was just like, I mean, we're doing this, but like, okay, we're doing more, you know. And I'm like, oh great, we get the crying by the bed scene. I'm like, of course we do. Here we go.
But wait a minute.
I don't know, man.
I can't watch movies with you guys. I really can't.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
How the fuck would you act if your wife was in a coma and you just had a baby? Like, what do you want him to do?
First of all, I'd
play
be
with
asking a
Paulie's
lot of
nuts?
questions.
I mean, what do you seriously
about why she doesn't have an IV?
Like,
isn't she gonna get dehydrated eventually if she doesn't have an IV?
Well, according to Meg in Post, the tubing would have messed up her makeup.
Why is the funnier Warner not on our show?
Meg, yeah, right. Meg watched about 5 minutes of this movie with me tonight, and she had 2 comments. I forget one of them, but one of them was that Sylvester Stallone's face is all lopsided. She didn't say lopsided. She said something sound much nicer than that. Asymmetrical.
Asymmetrical.
Yeah, so his face is lopsided.
My face looks like a Degas.
Because from birth, from like a forceps, like birth,
right,
accident, or I don't know, or if that's just normal. He's got like nerve damage in his like chin and cheek and shit.
His brother looks just like him. So, have you ever seen his mother? He looks just like his mother too. So maybe she had a forceps issue too.
And I'm just like, really? That's what you had to say about this movie? She's like, yeah. Oh yeah. Her other comment was it reminded her of Threat Level Midnight, which anybody watch The Office? Michael Scott makes a movie where he's the main hero, and it's called Threat Level Midnight, and he's Michael Scarn in the movie.
That's amazing.
MacGruber.
And it has a lot of like the same kind of like goofy shit that's in this movie with the camera and stuff, freeze frames and stuff.
I'm kind of interested to see if Butt Work 2 could be like the Rocky 2 with Travis's like autobiographical stuff, because that sounded way more compelling than the movie I just watched. Although I liked Rocky 2 just fine. Your interpretation of what this movie could have been, like what it was saying to you, your own story that you were telling.
No, not what it could have been.
It was all there.
Travis says this is what it is.
It's there. It's just if you want to see it or not. Like I watched it that way for the first time. This is the first time I ever made that parallel to being him in my life, because I was never here at this point in my life.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Butt Work 2 is going to be better than Butt Work 1.
Yeah.
I even wrote it
down. Going to all the characters are going to have more substance because they're going to be older.
You know when it hit me? It hit me when that scene where she said she wanted to work again, or she would work.
Yep.
But I wrote down in quotes, I got to be around it. That's when he went to Mick asking for a job.
Right.
And Mick's like, you can't work here because these guys, they look up to you, whatever. And he's like, I just got to be around it. Like I remember that's why I coach sports. That's why I'm like, trying to do anything around acting because like you want to be, if it's you, if it's what you're made of and you're not doing it, you try to find a way to be involved somehow.
Right.
So if your marriage is the thing that's keeping you from being you
try not to be married.
You either try not to be married, but Rocky's in the same position I was in and still am in, where I met my wife in high school. Didn't expect to. So there's a lot of things that I did not.
You were working muscle for the local.
No, there's just a lot of things I didn't do in my life because I'd already started that part of my life before college.
Loan sharks gotta feed, man. Loan shark gotta feed.
So I didn't go to California to pursue special effects. I didn't go to Tom Savini's school. I didn't go to California to act. I didn't do any of that stuff because here's the person that I want to marry. This is the person I'm going to be with. So these things all have to go to this, the back burner. With Rocky, he was older when he met that, and she's telling him, I don't want you to fight anymore. I don't want you to be Rocky anymore. And he's sitting there going, this is all I know. This is who I am. And you're telling me I can't be me. That's pretty heavy on a marriage, I think.
Yeah. And that was a new development. That was a new
especially since they're so perfect for each other.
Yeah, that's a
like
perfectly fine.
And he saved her.
A very lifelike. I had no problems with it.
Right, that is way more well executed than the goofy stuff.
That was it was.
It's
well
even better than the pregnancy thing, because from moment one, okay, pregnancy, baby, prop, make him, motivate him, he fights, he wins. Like, okay, cool. I see the whole thing fall into place from the beginning. But with the interaction in their marriage, you really don't know how that's going to resolve. And how is she going to put up with? Is she going to be there at the end? Because he's going to fight because it's a Rocky movie. Is she going to be there at the end, or is she not going to be there at the end?
It's a very real
scenario.
Very successful, very successful execution of that particular element.
Yep.
But that's kind of an underlying plot through all of the movies is he's only half himself without her. And she's always his driving force. So it's like whatever it is that she's keeping him from or pushing him to do, it's beneficial or detrimental to his character. Always.
Yeah.
So it depends on how, basically comes down to the decisions in your life that you make. And then when troubles come in a marriage is when you start making decisions against the other person's best wishes or advice. Or you make decisions that are detrimental to that person. And that's what obviously eats away at your marriage.
And you put him in a coma.
Because you probably didn't catch this, but when the doctor came in and said the baby's fine, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I caught
it.
But
she's in a coma.
Exactly what you're going to say.
She's in a coma because of you.
Yeah. Because of
overwork and exertion and stress.
Mm-hmm.
So she's in this coma because you're a fucking loser. That's basically what he heard.
Yes, I heard it. I heard it loud and clear.
Yeah. So that's rough, especially for a child to hear because he's a child. So he takes everything to heart. Takes everything personal.
Actually, I didn't feel like he reacted very much to it.
He kind of did because he put his entire life on hold. It was right before he stopped training. He stopped doing everything. He just sat at her bedside because he felt guilty. He felt that's what that crying scene that you guys think should go away. That scene is his dramatic response to finding out that he's the reason she's laying there.
I think you can have a scene that involves that, like, those feelings. I think my concern with the scene was how it was directed. It felt like the Oscar clip from Wayne's World. You remember Oscar clip?
Yeah.
That's kind of, I was just like, man, okay. But, it probably had to be there in some form, and that's the form he chose.
Right. It probably looked better on paper, as I think most of this movie probably did in his mind. Like, they were probably great brainstorming sessions and stuff, but once it comes to filming, and you're directing and you're acting, yeah, something's gonna Something's going to suffer.
It's pretty hard to see yourself, I imagine. See your performance unbiased as a director would when it is you doing the performance. Which is why Apollo Creed kicks so much butt, right? Because he's being directed like by an engaged Stallone.
Not many people can do it. I know you don't like him, but Mel Gibson is very good at that. He's very good at directing himself. Like movies that he directs himself in, he gives Oscar nominating performances.
That might explain, he gets so used to having like post-production that,
maybe
he doesn't always edit before he talks.
Right.
Maybe
I see where
he just runs the camera and
I see where you're
he
going.
leans a little heavy on posts when he has interactions
the movie
with
in
people.
post. Kind of like Dan in post.
Yeah. But with more sugar tips.
He fixes it in post. But yeah, he gets all the footage and then he puts the movie together later. That's
and in real life when he doesn't have that.
Yeah, I'm mostly just talking about his saying
when
crazy
someone else
things
was
to
recording,
people.
you can't do anything. When it's a body cam, when it's a cop cam.
Hey, can we go back? I want to take that again from the top.
Yeah.
Poor guy. It was like 30 years ago. We're still talking about it.
Get in the car, bro.
I'm pretty sure Mel Gibson's still making plenty of money. He ain't as canceled as you think he is.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't 30 years ago.
Nah, it's probably
at least 20.
15-ish.
It doesn't really matter, but
it doesn't matter.
30 is a long ass time ago, and I know it wasn't that long ago.
I'm looking at my notes. I did write down Mick Chappell scene. I wrote down slow motion punches. How did you guys feel about all this? The slow motion fights in this one that weren't in the first one.
My kids loved it.
Slow motion fights?
Yeah, like when the during the match they showed like slow motion. It almost was filmed in a way, I guess, more frames per second to make it look.
Oh, so you could like see the spit flying out of their mouth.
Yeah, you could see like the shake of the sweat and the hair.
Yeah.
So that made the punches look more real.
I liked it. Again, same problem that I had with the first movie. Again, he's like not really boxing.
Yeah, he's a horrible
not
boxer.
Protecting his head.
He's not a boxer. That's why.
He's not protecting his face.
He doesn't learn how to box till a little later.
I almost don't want him to
That
learn
makes
how to
sense.
box, though, if that makes any sense from my...
He blocks the punches with his face.
It annoys me that he can't box. It annoys me he's in this position and not able to box. But it annoys me more to think that later in his mid to late 30s, he would learn how to box. That seems preposterous.
There's a scene in a future movie where Apollo Creed says to Rocky, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. And that sums it up.
That seems a lot like his line in this movie that I liked better, which was, I won, but I didn't beat him. Like, that's a good line.
Right. Yeah. Because the whole movie is about pride.
Yeah.
So the whole plot, as you guys would say during the Porky's episode, there's no plot till the last 10 minutes. The whole plot with this movie.
The plot in this movie started at like 40 minutes.
No.
I think it started in that hospital scene when he was like, we'll do it right now.
The pride plot was from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because when he's in the hospital and he goes to Apollo and he says, when we fought, did you give me your all? And he said, yeah. And he said, thank you. Like that's two guys trying to find their proud moment.
Yeah.
Even though Apollo put on a big scene in front of the cameras, he did give him his best fight. And then later on, his pride takes over and they're in the press conference and he's like, I took him lightly, blah, 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 blah. So he threw in his face, no, I didn't give you my best, but I will. So to me, even with Mick, I wrote down Mick, Rocky, Apollo, all the theme is pride and purpose. Like they all have pride that's detrimental and beneficial to that character.
All right, so did I hear this right? That in future Rocky movies, Apollo teaches Rocky how to box?
No, he says that to him. Does he teach him how to box? I can't tell you that because that'll either be a lie or not.
I wouldn't be learning how to box from some guy I beat the shit out of twice. If he learns how to box from Apollo Creed, I'm out.
Maybe he's a better coach than he is a boxer. He's a pretty good boxer.
That's possible.
And maybe you got
But
a
I'm
brawler
also-
like Rocky who can take that many shots
the
and
thing-
teach him how to box. Maybe he'd be a really good boxer.
What's funny is what makes this movie and 1 and 2 good when it comes to, because people say, oh, they're so repetitive. Yeah. Oh, this one he wins. That's just kind of on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I look at it as, even though Rocky beat him up in the first movie and he beat him up in the second movie and he won, both times were not definite wins. Both times were flukes. Even the win, he just got up faster. So it wasn't a defeat against Apollo where he beat the shit out of him. Like, he lost that fight. He lost probably 12 out of the 15 rounds. Like, he was done. There was no decision that was going to go his way. He had to win with a knockout because he was beat.
Right.
So the good thing about these two movies is, yes, Rocky is the winner in both movies, even though, and yes, Apollo gets his ass beat. The person that, the thing that beats Apollo is Apollo both times. It's not Rocky per se. The first movie, Apollo beats Apollo because he didn't take him seriously. He was a showman. He was full of pride. Second one, he did take him seriously, but his pride
made him want to knock him out, and all he had
right.
to do was just
all
stay
he had
away
to do
from
was
him.
stay.
Yeah.
So again, pride is the big plot of this movie, and to me, that's what makes these two movies, I'm doing air quotes, realistic. Because, yeah, you're not going to watch 5 Rocky movies and you're going to go, oh, yeah, he won again. At least with these two, and I know in the future movies they figure out a way to make it new, but yeah, it's repetitive. These two movies are more of a complete movie because it's more realistic. Even though Rocky is not a better fighter, they always say it's not the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog. It's like an old football term, and coaches say that all the time.
Right.
Any given Sunday, all that stuff, that's what Rocky is.
Hungry dogs run faster.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So Rocky is the any given Sunday guy.
He's the Jason Kelsey.
Apollo Creed is like Tom Brady,
boxing.
right? Apollo Creed is Tom Brady. Tom Brady
No, he's
goes
not.
15.
No, he's more like Megatron.
Whatever. 15 and 0, right?
Mhm.
Goes into the playoffs, cocky as shit, had his bye week, whatever, gets beat in the first round by the 6th seed. Like
No, he gets beat in the Super Bowl by the New York Giants.
either or. That's Apollo Creed.
The New York
Yeah,
Giants
didn't-
are Rocky. That one year.
Oof.
When they almost
one year,
beat
yeah.
him in the end of the regular season, and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
if they have a rematch,
Mm-hmm.
this would be a really well-scripted event where they could come back and win.
Right.
Never mind.
It's almost, I mean, it's almost like someone could have been thinking that, in the administration of the NFL.
I would never.
So that's what I like
suggest
about these two movies.
that
Because
would
yes,
happen.
it's unrealistic that a unpolished street brawler is going to beat the heavyweight champion. But even Mike Tyson got beat by Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson got beat by Buster Douglas because he did not take Buster Douglas seriously.
Yes.
Mike Tyson was destroying people. We're talking like paying $70 for a pay-per-view.
That was over in 5
and the fight
seconds.
was over in like 30 seconds. So,
It's bad.
There
and
were
then
other
Buster Douglas
fights on
comes
the
in
card. You still got your
fat.
money's worth, but
yeah. There was a bunch on the card. But Buster Douglas comes in out of shape, looking like, George the Animal Steel. And Mike Tyson goes 7 rounds with him and loses. And it's like, where's Mike Tyson? Because this is not Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And that's what Mick was saying in the Rocky. He's like, you're not, in the first one, yeah, he's saying you aren't even worthy to fight. This one, he's like, you won against the champion. You went the distance with the champion, and you're not taking it seriously. And you aren't giving me the respect to give me the time. You're unfocused. You're not here. So, yeah, it's the same thing, but it's a different situation.
it's not a distortion. It's an overdrive.
Right.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I
Okay.
watch this movie differently.
No, I think I don't think any of us disagree that it's a. I think we all enjoy. I would dare to say we all enjoyed the movie, but maybe not as much as you did.
No, I hear you. This is complete nostalgic, Travis.
Yeah, definitely.
But I've seen probably 30 to 40 reaction videos to this movie.
Yeah.
Of first-time watchers, and I'd say 95% of them liked the movie.
Didn't like it.
Didn't. So.
Well, they must have been paid by Big Rocky to say that.
No, I think they're not watching it for the same reasons we're watching it.
Follow the money, Travis.
You're
benefits?
Watching it.
Who benefits from this reaction video?
Who benefits?
I don't know. I find with our reactions, we're taking it to a different level than people that are just watching movies. Like, we're watching it with critique eyes. We're not watching it with, hey, let's just sit and watch a movie. We know we're going to talk for an hour about this movie, and we better have some shit to say. So we're being more critical. We're talking about hats and tiger shirts instead of, like, character development.
Dude,
and
how you can't miss the tiger jacket.
Tiger jacket is
you're not
really
supposed
serious.
to. It's like going into a house of somebody and they have paint by fucking numbers the size of their sliding glass door, and they're like, hey, look at my painting, and you're like, dude, you're gaudy as shit. Like, that's Rocky. He's the Tiger King. He is gaudy as shit.
Not that
yes,
bad.
he is.
No, he's not.
He's plastic on your furniture and wrought iron railings in your living room. Gaudy. Which is half a Philly.
Okay. That is not what Tiger King is.
Oh, he's not gaudy? He's not
He is
bombastic. He's not flamboyant.
That is not Tiger King. A Philly Italian and Tiger King have almost nothing in common.
I think they have maybe it's the delivery is different, but the outcome's
One's
the same.
a distortion and the other one is a flanger.
Because whether you have plastic on your furniture and a wrought iron railing in your living room, or you have orange camouflage pants and a mullet, it's the same gaudiness.
Yeah.
So, guys, can we talk about the ending of this movie? Particularly the ending of the fight?
About how badly it sucked?
As soon as I see Rocky start to lose his balance, I go, oh, God, they're going to do the wrestling ending. Which I'm sure wrestling may have borrowed it from... it was probably a thing before. But, the old, both guys are down and the referee's counting to 10.
Yeah.
I find it funny how we're fucking sitting here, the three of us.
How?
And the two of you, mostly Dan, because I don't fault you here, you're whining about tropes that were not tropes when this movie came out.
I don't know, man. That really strikes me as like they were probably doing that in wrestling back in the 30s. Like, that's a pretty... But maybe it came from this movie. I don't know. But for me as a viewer now seeing it for the first time, I was like, oh, this ending. Like, ugh.
We've seen 75 movies, and I'd say 85% of them are about you showing us shit that has been done 90 times every year, but this movie was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we do. We show shit that is tropey, and now all of a sudden... Well, it came from here, or it came from here, or some French guy.
Tell me where this came from before this movie, because I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Dan's gonna find.
Maybe Dan in post will tell me where
Dan's
the fuck
gonna
it came
find
from.
some French movie that has the same ending.
Right.
No.
It came from a Bruno Sammartino.
All right.
match.
So can I tell you what my problem is? How did Rocky go down? He threw the punch.
They both hit each other at the same time.
Did they really?
The punch before, the two punches before, they are hitting each other at the same time. And the third time, I think when he hit Apollo, he threw himself off balance and went down. So I think he was probably...
So Apollo got his face bashed in, and Rocky just lost his balance.
No, there were three pretty big punches. Like, have you ever watched a fight where a guy goes down for something stupid, and then you realize like 3 punches ago he got caught on the chin?
Generally,
your equilibrium's off.
Generally, I feel like the fighter knows that he's not right, and if he keeps standing up, he's going to get even more hurt.
Not
and
true.
He goes, let me just go down real quick and take a 10-second break.
I've seen UFC fights where a guy went to go throw another punch, and his legs weren't there. Like... You just don't know. Like, to sit there and, like, nitpick like that, like, you don't know. how a body's going to react to punches. So even if he got punched or not on that last swing, it doesn't make sense that they both went down.
In the moment, it looked like Rocky threw a punch, it landed, and then Rocky fell because he lost his balance and then couldn't get up from exhaustion.
No.
That's what it looked
like to me too. He was just out of gas.
Yeah. And I don't
think
know
it's a mixture of the two.
I don't know if I buy that.
I think that's a mixture of the two.
Okay.
Well, all right. I'm just not going to pick any more movies.
No, you can certainly pick movies. Just pick good ones.
Just go visit that proctologist we were talking about earlier.
I think a large percentage of people will disagree with you that this is not a good movie.
I don't think that either of us said it was
you can say
a not good movie. I just think that there's
confrontational, but
certain elements of it that were just like head scratchers.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But that I felt the same way about The Godfather. There's stuff in beloved films where you're like, yeah, I'm not really
there's that one bad punch in The Godfather, but other than that movie's almost perfect.
Yeah,
Godfather Part Two, though.
Yeah, Part 2 was very disappointing.
I could nitpick Godfather if I wanted to.
And you know what? I think that this movie, I think that this movie suffers from the sequelitis that most sequels suffer from.
You know what's interesting, though? I was doing a quick dive while watching the movie to find other sequels in 1979, because this predates the Friday sequelitis we talked about.
Right.
And the Friday the 13th movies were the first in the horror genre that really like went all out, and you get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies. So I was like, how many movies really were sequelized directly, like Part 2? There weren't that many movies. You know, it had happened before. There are examples. Quartermass. There was a Quartermass 2 in the 50s. Like, it had happened that there were movies with a 2 and a 3, but in the mainstream, like high budget, especially like the sports genre, this is one of the first, if not the first, tentpole sequel.
When did Jaws 2 come out? Because Jaws 1 came out in what, 77?
No, earlier than that. 76. It was like 75. 75,
you're
right.
Like,
so 78. So you get a Jaws 2.
77 Star Wars.
So you get Jaws 2 in 78. So that's one.
Okay.
So it's still the beginning of sequelitis, right? Like this is the beginning of this trend that now has destroyed a lot of what we love in movies.
Yeah. I think with this sequel, it doesn't do the tropey thing with this, like you're talking about, sequelitis. Because I think it doesn't repeat the first one.
It has a lot of new elements.
It does,
and it adds
to the story.
It has a lot of new elements, but it also has a lot of repeated elements. I think it's like it's almost 50-50, new and repeated.
It's tough though because it's a rematch.
Right. Yeah.
And that's part of the story. Is this a rematch? And when you look at boxing, there's a shit ton of rematches.
But that doesn't mean I'm not counting that as part of the 50% that's repeated.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I look at it like when I said to you last week, I think we should watch it because it does add to the character. It does add to the story.
It certainly did add to the character of Rocky and Apollo.
And Apollo. And I think
Mick.
I think Mick, the part about where he walked away from him, but I think where we got the next level of Mick was the
motivational Mick.
The motivational Mick, the hospital chapel Mick, which we didn't get before.
Yep.
The ripping on Southpaws, like when he's standing in front of the screen and he's like, you got to switch.
Yep.
That was all new. And then obviously the standing by his side, he didn't have to be in the hospital.
Right.
He was by his side the whole freaking time. So I think they developed that character a little bit more from where the crotchety old man from the first movie. I think we got a little bit more Mick. We definitely got a lot more Creed. We got a little bit more Rocky, same shit. And I think we got more Adrian than from the first.
Can you imagine if Apollo Creed was on Twitter? Because he was reading the hell out of that fan mail. He would be hilarious on Twitter.
He would be like, is it Jimmy Kimmel that does the mean tweets?
Yes.
When he has the celebrities read mean tweets about themselves.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, he would not do well in today's fan mail instant gratification of
Dude, I'm surprised that
criticism.
So many people actually would like write letters.
Dude, that's I know it's hard for you to think about, but that's
the
way it was.
I feel this way, and I'm going to put it on paper.
I've written 2 letters in my
envelope,
life.
and I'm going to send it to Apollo Creed, and he's going to read it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Different time, man.
Yeah.
Fan mail was a big thing. Like, I know a lot of people used to send, because they were hoping to get an signed 8x10 back.
Right.
So a lot of people got the P.O. box of the celebrity. It usually goes to the agent. And then they would somebody else would read them, and then they would get like not a facsimile, but they would probably just have a stack of signed 8x10, 8.5x11s, 8x10s. So you really didn't get to the celebrity. Unlike today, where you can go to a con and actually talk to the person, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You get feedback that way.
Or you can follow him on Twitter.
See.
You can mean tweet him directly.
You can mean tweet
I can do it right now. I'm gonna mean tweet.
Yeah, let's
Sylvester
mean tweet someone.
Stallone. Be like, hey,
nah,
the character
was
development
awesome.
in
I was
Rocky
able
2 was not as good as the character development in 2/3 of Rocky 1.
Yeah. It's
Come
a
on,
cleaner
man.
movie, though.
Come on, man.
It was neat that I was able to send a Merry Christmas to Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's mean
podcast.
tweet him. He's fun to mean tweet.
Hey, kids.
He mean tweets back.
I took it as a personal thing when I saw him recently at an appearance, and he brought a life-size pop of himself.
That is really funny.
I was like, that's right at me. What a dick.
Tell you what,
That
man.
must be some
Clerks
kind of a
3 is
director.
in the can, and I can't wait.
Yeah.
They actually did it. They
Is it-
made Clerks 3. I
it
really,
called?
for years, I didn't think they were going to do it. I thought they were going to leave me hanging.
I thought it already came out. What was the one that came out a year ago that they were traveling around with?
Butt work.
It was not butt work.
They did
That's
Yoga
not gonna-
Hosers, and then they were going to do a Mallrats show, but I don't think that ever came together. Oh, they did the Jay and Silent Bob reboot,
Jay and Silent Bob, that's
which
what
was
the
fun.
reboot.
Dumb as hell, but a lot of fun.
Aren't they all?
I think
I mean,
Clerks
they're
has like actual
endearingly
artistic
dumb.
merit. I don't know that the Jay and Silent Bob movie was anything but farce for farce's sake, but I would
Right.
argue that the Clerks movies have actual merit hidden beneath
I
all the
believe it.
poop jokes.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
He wasn't even supposed to be there that day.
Man, how like life.
Well, are we done crapping on Rocky?
I don't
think
think we crapped on Rocky as much as you feel
Nah.
like we crapped on Rocky. You're going to listen back to this episode and be like, they actually kind of like that movie.
Well, you're like,
I think
let's
you're
talk
gonna.
about the ending. What? How bad it was?
No, I think that you're gonna. I think Travis, you're gonna
Surely
listen.
yours.
You're gonna listen back to this episode. You're gonna when you listen back, you're gonna
Right.
think, you know what? That was a really well balanced and honest and well thought out opinions by both of those young gentlemen. I now feel the same way.
No, it's not going to happen.
Maybe.
Then we're going to get Sylvester Stallone to tell you why we're right.
Right. Does he do cameos?
I imagine he's a
Get
little
a-
busy.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone's gonna tell.
He's got his
Travis
own problems. He tried to
why-
re-release Rocky 4, and people were like, no.
He recut Rocky 4.
He recut Rocky 4.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not many people liked it because Rocky 4 is so beloved to people. Why would you change it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. We haven't seen it, so who knows?
That's right. You guys never seen it.
It's his movie. He can do whatever he wants.
This is
with it.
true. He did write it. He did direct it.
Speaking of movies we haven't seen, Travis, should we tell
Yes.
George what we're doing next week?
I would love to.
Rocky 3.
No, I think we're going to change up the formula a little bit.
All right.
And we're going to travel down a road that we've all been down.
Ooh.
But we're
Okay.
going to travel in a nice luxury stretch limo and discuss things that the new and improved movie watching George will be able to input a lot more than he did before we started this show.
This isn't your wedding night, George. This is like your
Right.
10th anniversary.
Right.
You know how it
We're
goes
gonna-
now.
Revisit the Nolan trilogy, starting with Batman Begins.
Fuck. For real?
Yes.
The whole
Mainly
thing?
because two of us want to really talk about this movie.
The whole
and
thing?
you fucking watched it already.
The
so
whole
we
thing,
can't really
man.
do it.
Not all
whole
in one
thing.
episode, though. We're going to make it a 3-parter.
Right. A 3-parter, but the Nolan Batman trilogy.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Are you game?
I can't wait to crap on the third one.
Ooh. I can't wait to help you.
Yeah, please.
But then
please do.
also tell you why I love
Dan,
it.
weren't
I
you-
do love
weren't
the
you
third
in
one.
the
I'm
third
in
one?
the third one. So
He's in
as
Yeah.
the uncredited extra co-star of that movie,
I have a T-shirt from the third one.
I'll point myself out when we watch that one. I'll tell you where to look for me. You can pause it and see me in the crowd.
Mm,
And
I
Jake, you can
find
see
it-
my buddy Jake.
nice. I think it's fitting that we're watching that movie on the exiting year of Ben Roethlisberger, since he was also in that movie,
Yes, another
He was.
uncredited co-star.
So is Palomalo.
and Palomalo.
Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. We'll be back next week with Batman Begins.